Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rich Swan, and I party all night long. And what I'm telling you to do right now is subscribe to TNAIW, and baby, you are going to get the real. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 106 of the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. My name is Jeff, and alongside me is the... I forgot one, didn't I? Oh, no, the Bhupinder Gujjar to my Brian Myers.
Ew,
Max,
bro,
everybody.
don't do that to me.
Hey, man. He's got some good stuff going on right now, I have to admit.
Ugh.
We'll talk about it.
Disrespectful.
Oh, man. Well, guys, we got a stuffed show for you this week, just like we were talking about off air, Max. A stuffed episode of Impact to talk about.
It was just... There's tons of stuff in there, and I was like, man, maybe I felt like it was a lot, but maybe it wasn't. And then I went back, and obviously before the show, I always read over everything that's on there, and I was like, man, this thing, I was like, okay, it just never ends. Like, I was like, it really was. It was a stuffed show.
Yeah, we're on the road to Bound for Glory, and they put it into overdrive, man. And we'll talk about that. And I knew it was stuffed when I was trying to type up all of the segments on the review board, and I could not fit it. Like, the font's going, it's going Willy Wonka small at the bottom. But guys, first and foremost, I want to shout out to Rich Swan for that intro. Awesome. I told you guys we'll have a new sign that I'll be bringing to Bound for Glory and a new intro every week leading to Bound for Glory. And just up now, you can't really see it. The lighting's not doing any favor, but the old PCO one, a little young Frankenstein twist to it. And the reason Virtuosa's back there is someone, and I can't remember who, I apologize, had mentioned that I should make one when I asked what I should make. And I had made one for the return Slammiversary. So I'm not going to make another Virtuosa. Thank you for the shout out, but we got a lot of comments from you guys to talk about, a lot of other stuff to talk about. First and foremost, Max, what are you looking forward to talking about the most?
Well, there's a couple things. Bullet Club was prominent on this week's show, but there's also some crossover stuff. A couple guys seem to hop into their DeLorean and make their way over maybe to another dimension. Right. So we'll see. Discuss that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. That's two topics on our mind. I agree. We're on the same page there, and a lot of comments to go over that do hit all those notes. So some cool stuff to talk about. But first and foremost, obviously, guys, thank you for everything. Numbers been great. We appreciate everyone rocking with us, coming through, and getting hyped for Bound for Glory. I know it's a long build there where they kind of pushed into hyperdrive, like we said, or overdrive. So we got some good stuff to talk about. But the numbers been great. The comments been great. Keep it up, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for all the love. And that's including this Power Rankings. Power Rankings committee has been growing. Thank you to you guys who have been joining. Richard was just added this week as well. So we're going to get right into Power Rankings. Then, of course, we'll talk about how we got there. I already told you, Max, one spoiler about the Power Rankings.
I know. I'm a little nervous to see what comes up on these Power Rankings.
All right. Well, we'll talk about it. We'll get our opinion. And then, of course, every Tuesday you could check out GoGoPowerRankings with Datila and Bert, who keep expanding the Power Ranking Committee. If you want to write them, join the Power Ranking Committee. Make a difference if you don't agree with what you're about to see. But you could check out their opinion every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. PST. And, of course, talking bloody nonsense guys, Craig and Nixon, who keep killing it. Different formats. They talk about not time-sensitive stuff, which is dope, including Impact and UK wrestling. So check them out as well. But let's get into... Oh, and shout out to Io. Thank you, Io, for securing all of... Hey, speaking of the devil, as soon as I say his name, like Beetlejuice, he appears. But all the intros you see are via Io, man, who killed it. So thank you. But let's get to Go Power Rankings here. Oh, let me do my... Right, let's go. Number 10, Bhupinder Gujjar. Number 9, Honor No More. Number 8, Death Machine Sami Callihan. Number 7, X Division Champion Mike Bailey. Number 6, Jessica. Number 5, World Champion Jordan Grace. Number 4, Tag Team Champions Bullet Club. Number 3, Time Machine. Number 2, Tag Team Champions Vexed. And number 1, World Champion Josh Alexander. All right.
No,
Max.
I really can't hate on them that much. They actually were pretty good. We still got Josh at 1. Tag team knockouts, tag team champs at 2, which is definitely respected. Bullet Club at 4. I feel like there were some good things at the top of that list. So I'm not going to hate on everything.
So behind the curtain kind of ordeal. I am the last. I had Richards to add, and then I had mine, and I try not to look. I'm not going to vote based on what's going to change the rankings. I'm still going to be honest, but no matter how I swayed it, Goodger had to make it. He had to make it. So hey, man, I gave you props at the beginning. You are a top 10 athlete in the world of Impact Wrestling. All right, so let's talk about how we got there, because there's a lot to talk about here. There's 19 segments, and that's with me mashing some shit up, guys. Because, look, even though there's little things like, and I don't know if I even mentioned it, but time splitters, they're stretching and back. I miss those old things. After the commercial break, before the commercial break, telling them, look what's coming up. I don't know. Old Impact shit, but I dug it. But, yeah, so a lot to talk about here. Obviously, we'll get into what you guys thought about it. Light up the chat. Let us know what you thought. Obviously, we'll get to what the Twitterverse thought in the segment right after this, and then we'll tell you our point of view as well. First and foremost, I thought it was a good show. I've been talking about how we're coasting, and I don't think this episode coasted at all.
No, definitely not.
So we'll get to that, but I'm hoping it just continues to add more meat on the bones as we head to Bound for Glory. First up, BTI, because we always hit that. We'll actually get a question about that, about the format of BTI, but we'll talk about that on Hot Topics. BTI, Iceman Intel, Moose is mad. So Moose is mad as Macklin. I'm going to be real here, man. I give 2 shits if Macklin and Moose are on the same team. It does not... Hey, Lucha, what's going on, buddy? He's shouting you out, Max. I don't know if you can see that.
I cannot.
Too small.
I'll say hi, Lucha.
There you go. Hey. So yeah, Moose is mad, and yeah, that's where we're at. So, but the match that once again, I always say this, no matter what you think about the other 36 minutes or whatever it is of BTI, you gotta watch the match. Okay. Bullet Club, this being Hikuleo and Ace Austin teaming, which I like the look at it. Had a little Madman Fulton and Ace throwback to it. Feel right?
Yeah, I like that they're rotating who tags with who. Obviously, the Good Brothers are an official tag team, so they...
Right.
And unless you need them to eat a pin and you don't want one of them to do it, if they're tagging, it's going to be them. But I like that Ace teams with Hikuleo, Bay teams with Hikuleo, Ace teams with Bay. I like all that. It works things around. It makes it interesting. And it also doesn't shoehorn 2 of them into... Or one of the guys... I'm always a tag team guy. That's all you are. It's Bay and Hikuleo. Bay's your tag team guy. Ace is your single. So it kind of allows them to do their own thing, which I like.
Yeah, I dig it. And I think it was more of a loyal Hiveling. Welcome back. Always loved the Hivelings out there. With Hikuleo, I think it was more of Chris Bay getting... I'm guessing if I had to look, I don't look at spoilers. Once again, spoiler-free show. Honest, unbiased, and transparent. With that being said, I would imagine that the Chris Bay-Bailey match took place at the same taping as the Hikuleo.
Most likely.
Right. But either way, I thought this was a good match. Swinger and Dice, I've said it, I want them to have their bromance moment. I want them to win. Even if it's a 2-week reign, I don't give a shit. The crowd will pop, especially if there's Impact Faithful in there. But got to keep them in a tag. Don't mind them losing. Like with Zicky's, looking more serious. It looks like they're going to give them a little bit of something. How can't you love Swinger and Dice, man?
I like Swinger and Dice. But I don't want them to be tag team champions.
Come on, man. Spice it up.
Hey,
Millard, what's going on?
I liked ODB and Eric Young, too, but I wasn't happy with them being knockouts tag team.
That's fair. So let's get to the main show here, though. Oh, by the way, with the Bullet Club thing, I think, we'll talk about it. I challenged you guys last week to come up with your Bound for Glory card. No spoilers. Bound for Glory card using our roster. The roster page that's on ImpactWrestling.com. And we got one at the end, and we'll talk about that because we're going to be talking about depth charts. So we're going to go into the Impact Zone again and look over depth charts before we head out of this show. So stay tuned for that. But keep them coming with your cards. I want to know because I think, once again, as we go through this stack show, it's the depth is there. Gary, what's up? The depth is there. It's just how we're presenting that depth right now. But let's start off Impact Wrestling with the Knockouts Tag Team Championships being on the line here. Vexed defending successfully against Grace and Yim. I love this match. I always say match of the night is the first match because it always starts off with a banger and always ends with two main. They bookend us. Main event. And honestly, this is one of those matches that I'm gonna review it with you. I'm gonna relive it with you. But I think this might be match of the night for me, period. I see a lot of people still saying about the tag division. I don't know, man. This felt very two-man power trip having Grace and Yim versus a very, very viable tag team. This is the first time, and I'm watching it here, man, and I'm paying attention, obviously. And just look, watching the show, this is the first time, and no disrespect to the influence, no disrespect to the inspiration. There's no question with Vexed. They're going to cut a good promo. They're going to look good doing it. They're going to have a personality. And then they're going to perform in the ring. This is the first time, I think, and no disrespect to any team, that we have a tag team champion in this division that's viable. And I mean in all regards. And they just showed out.
I liked the inspiration. I think they worked really well together. I think they had everything. But to me, I do think Vex is more of a powerhouse team because of Deanna. Deanna to me is the person who is clearly good enough to be a singles star. She's a champion. Yeah. I think Chelsea's also good enough to do it, whereas the inspiration to me were a tag team. So there's nothing wrong with that, but I do think you put more power. Similar to when you take FTR versus Kenny Omega and Hangman. When Kenny Omega and Hangman are clicking, to me they're the bigger powerhouse team because they're two single superstars, and that's what I feel like Vexed is, and they work well together as a tag team.
Well, CC, I think it's opposite. I think that using that analogy there, I think the Hangman and Omega would be, and I don't watch, obviously. I apologize if I'm wrong here, but they would be the Grace and Yin. They're working well. FTR would be, I think, Vexed here, man. They look good together. They're a package deal, just like the influence. My point, and the inspiration. My point was, though, this is the first one where we feel like, look, and I love the inspiration. I was fucking stoked when they came in. It was short-lived, whatever, for whatever reason. But there were still questions about what they could do between those ropes.
That's true.
So this is the first one where it's like, this is a tag team, man. And it could be a beer money, it could be AMW, whatever you want to make the analogy here, more beer money-ish, or dirty heels or whatever they were. But loved it. Loved it. And we'll talk about more of that when we get to the depth. Next up was a VBD promo, getting back to being VBD, talking there, united. Loved it. They made sense. The thing I'm looking for with VBD, man, they need to add someone who's, and I mean this with all due respect, you have your tag team in, which I think is the freebird of all three of them. Eric can play around with maybe the DMC or whatever they do there. Viable champ or option. They need a singles guy. They need a singles guy. And I don't think it's a guy. I still think it should be Masha. And I think that's the kind of thing that rejuvenates VBD because it just feels like they got cool little promos. They're viable. They look cool together. They go out in the ring. They lose. And what are we going to... Even if we just start feeding them wins, it doesn't buy back that initial buzz of the VBD, the spark, rather.
Yeah, I think... I like VBD, those three, as a tag team. I think they're really good together. I think with you freebirding it, you obviously can protect Eric Young in that group. Mm-hmm. But I do agree that a singles person, whether it's a guy or a knockout, would be a good addition to the team and would give them something else to rally around besides just we're a tag team. If you have Masha and she's going for the title, you can rally around her. So I think that's a really good idea.
Thanks. Yeah, man. I just feel like they need something to spark them,
Yeah.
you know? Like, they're dope. I love them. But to keep that brand alive, which I think they've done a great job creating and making a really exciting segment each week.
It needs
just
to evolve.
Needs to evolve. All right. I want to T. Hughes 1990 in there also. Bring back Feast or Fire to have Swinger and Dice win the tag team titles. I like that because it doesn't say they're viable, it just says they won them. Don't roll your eyes because that's good shit. And any team adds lineage to the title. I agree, man. The lineage of this title, just like the DMC at the moment, is still intact. What they do with it from there. Next up is Josh and Vincent having a conversation backstage. I really like this. Even because I said my thing with Honor No More, Eddie getting the victory, getting the match at Bound for Glory. The thing is I don't want 7 weeks of an Honor No More attacking Josh Alexander. And tonight, and I know it wasn't maybe driving Eddie versus Josh home, but it started the spark of Honor No More and Josh. A different way of going about it. We'll get to it, the Eddie talking thing. But even Vincent here, man, because I love Vincent's more of a psychological character. He's not just I'm going to kick your ass. And I dig what he's doing with Josh here. Planting that seed, which we'll get to in a second. Carl Anderson picking up the win over here with Mike Bennett.
Bullet
Important
Club match
because,
number 2.
There you go. It makes sense because you want Maria out of the picture when the Kingdom finally win the titles, so there's no questions, right?
Yeah, I think it was a good win. It removing Maria, it makes it a 2-on-2, but obviously Bullet Club could more people. But at least it sets it as, hey, 2-on-2, no interference, who's going to be better? And I like that. I think if you're going to have the Kingdom win, they need to win cleanly to show we are the better team. So.
Yeah, and let's make sure we say, hey, once again, I don't know if I talked to you about, or Max, you were on one of the shows where I talked about this. The Good Brothers, the writing's on the wall, and it's been, basically said that they're wrapping up here, they're going overseas, and then we'll see where they are, but they are free agents 100%.
Correct.
I think maybe the WWE isn't more as interesting anymore with the new management change. Maybe it's more interesting. I don't know. But I think we'll be seeing them down the road. I don't know if that's Bound for Glory or beyond. We'll see.
I think they want to do New Japan. I think that's what they enjoy. They enjoy being part of Bullet Club. They enjoy New Japan and that group. And I think that allows them to also work Impact, AEW, and anything else. So I don't think they go to WWE.
And get paid.
Correct.
But here, Carl Anderson, speaking of needing to get paid, needs some new pants, man. God damn. But he beats Mike Bennett. Maria is banned. And, the continuity after it's nice. You get them coming. I was like, well, first of all, because obviously, let me set the table here. Matt Taven comes out. There's some foolery there. Big LG's not injured. He comes out. He shows off. Looking good, by the way. Must be payday time. And he fights him off. They get the dub. And they walk out. I was like, damn, they're just like booking it after this match. Obviously, they go backstage and we roll right into Good Brothers with Scott D'Amore.
Yeah.
This planting the seed of, oh, wow, that was too friendly to be people who are leaving. But it really set the table for that. Hey, we're going to defend it. We're honorable, whatever the hell it is. But planted that seed of doubt that they could possibly win this match. But it also told us that the match is next week.
I mean, I'm surprised it's next week. Obviously, we know with their contracts ending, they wanted to. I don't know. Maybe they want to say if they win and they don't have anything at the pay-per-view, they're like, hey, we want to go do some stuff overseas. It gets this match out of the way, so we don't have to worry about anything going forward. You know what I mean? They can go do a short little stint overseas, come back for Bound for Glory. Obviously, if they lose and they want to go overseas, it allows them to get the belts off them. So possibly. Obviously, we know Scott D'Amore is Bullet Club, so I still...
He did it.
He's never been kicked out.
Right.
And he was clearly a member. Go on Wikipedia. He is listed as a member. So, I think eventually he sets something up where even if they leave, he brings them back as part of... No Team Canada, but he'll lead Bullet Club in Impact.
Well, I don't know how far I'm going to go into that. I will say, though, it was a good match. See, Io saying good match with Carl and Mike. Guess the lights were on bright. Yeah. It's a good little reference to Carl. Yeah, man, I agree with everything Max saying. It keeps the door open. I don't think there's any burnt bridge here whatsoever. It's just a matter of what each other wants.
Yeah.
And once again, could I see them coming to get their rematch at Bound for Glory? If they lose, hey, you got a rematch clause,
Possibly.
so that door's open. So next up, we get the worst doctor, actually. The worst doctor in the world, Dr. Ross, because every time someone goes to him, they never get fixed. And I forgot the reference. Man, there was one where... was it Sammy or somebody he let wrestle when they should? Anyways, but you got
Was it
Evans...
CM Punk? Because I think he
man.
wrestled when he wasn't supposed to on Wednesday,
Right.
but...
Well, anyways, you got Evans, who's injured, Steele's making the transitional shot from there, then getting asked by Gia in the hallway about Killer Kelly, blah, blah, blah. I love Tasha, man. Always have. Always believed in her. There's something fresh about her now. It's like the relief of not being champion or something has just made her confidence. I don't know, man. I've really liked it. I really want them to go to the tag division.
I think that's what they need to do. They were... Fire and Flavor were really good tag team. Was a really good tag team. And obviously you lost one half of that, but Tasha and Savannah are still a really good tag team. It's your little person, big person.
Yeah, it
tag
adds a
team.
different dynamic.
Normally in these little person, big person tag teams, with who was it? With Enzo and Cass, what were they? Were they just Enzo and Cass? They didn't have an actual name.
They're your
Whatever.
people.
Either way, with Enzo and Cass, like Enzo just got his ass beat all around the ring, and then Cass came in and cleaned it up. But Tasha isn't that person, so
yeah.
You have two people who are equally good, so I like that about them as a tag team.
And it's a nice way to boost Savannah while not you know what I mean? Like splitting them up. Or I really hope they go that direction. But right now she's getting choked out by Killer Kelly, who's got a knack for saying some dirty shit. Some innuendo going on with Killer Kelly, and I love every moment. I didn't say it last week, and I forgot to mention it. And I know Lucha had shouted out Kinky Kelly on there as a Clerks 2 reference. But she choked her. She loved getting choked last week. This week she's saying some shit. I love everything they're doing with this chick, man. Shout out to Killer Kelly. And that will be not the next sign that I show, but that is the next sign I'm working on. One's for Killer Kelly. Keep going here. Gujar defeating Hotch here. Once again, here, let me get out the negative first. Get out the negative.
It was a Gujar match.
No. It was he's working. I always say it for anyone who's new to watching this show. There's no hate. He's a great prospect. He's a blue chipper.
The Indian AJ Styles.
But he's not the Indian AJ Styles, man. Okay. First of all, I love that they're not just going, he's Indian guy. Totally dig that, man. We've said that from day one.
Yeah.
But you got to give him something. And I'll get to the fact that I finally think they gave him something. But here's the two flaws I had. One, his entrance. Who is he pointing to? He's not pointing at who the fuck. He doesn't move his head. He's just like a character coming out of 2K22. Come on, dude. And the other one is he hit his gargoyle finisher. The Hotch kept his leg up, and I apologize. I forgot his name because I didn't write it down. And he gets rolled up. And the guy left his legs up there. He could have had such a cool roll up off that spear that we hate so much. But that were my two things. The positives, I will say, is that, well, we'll get to the other part with him, so I won't get there. But I thought this was a decent match.
Yeah.
I think he's improving on that end. I love Myers on commentating, saying the things we're saying, which he's a blue chipper. Don't keep so it balances that out. Jason Hotch, thank you. I thought it would. Yeah, I want to go up to Timothy. I was like, Tim. So, look, I think there's an improvement there. And I actually like, and the reason I voted for him was not just the victory over the guy who won a, what is that called? I'm always bad with these. He won a tough
enough, or?
No, that's WWE.
What's it? I know what you're talking about.
Come on, someone help us out here.
Whatever. He won a contract thing.
Okay, he won a contract. And I liked using him for this reason, right? Gut check. Thank you, Critical Sting, coming in clutch. Gujar defeating Hotch. My point was to you, Max, because we've been watching this for a long time together. Is every gut check winner, what's it with the tattoos? Every gut check winner, and I'm a pro on this, has shitty tattoos.
Maybe it's part of the qualification to be.
Who is it? I mean? Shaw, Bradley. This guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Always have the cover-ups. Anyways, other than that, I think the kid has a good look. Honestly, they didn't let him show too much here, but I thought both of them looked good for what the segment was.
Yeah, I feel like Gujar just needs a new finisher. If you adjusted his finisher, if you replace the gargoyle spear with a 450 splash,
sold.
He'd be good. He'd be perfect. He just needs a better finisher. Yeah. Entrance, you can slowly work on that, but just give him a 450 and just go with it. He'll be perfect. Maybe a spiral tap.
Yeah.
The Gujar Clash, something like that.
Just something where he doesn't knock himself out doing it every day. But no, if he had just rolled up the legs, it would have been beautiful. So I'll give him that. But looking better, and look, man, with the expansion in India, we're not suckers. Yeah. I get it. And it looks like the writing's on the wall for him to win this DMC, which puts it in that TV, European title down there. But let's see what the kid can do with it. I'm never going to root against someone that they're going with, especially when they have some upside. And I believe he does. And I do think this Hotch does too. I joked the tattoos. Who am I to joke? Anyways, next up, Gail Kim's in the back here, and she's catching up with Vexed. They're talking about their big win. They're also talking about Deonna getting the pin on Grace, which I love. I love the style that Impact connects everything. I love it. And so which this sets up is Masha versus Deonna, the winner here, getting to be the Bound for Glory opponent for Jordynne Grace. We've said this for months and months. The main event, if not the second main event, the co-main event should be Jordynne Grace versus Masha Slamovic. Svik. Doesn't matter. It's going to be dope. Is this where they're going? It doesn't make sense to keep Vexed out of a match, right?
No, I agree. I think it makes sense. I think this is good because we don't watch spoilers, or we don't read spoilers. No. Obviously, I think Masha's going to win, and I think it also puts her in the title match, co-main event, main event, possibly whatever. But it also keeps Deonna, almost further cements her into the tag division. Like you had a shot at a number one contender, you lost it. How about you focus your ass on the tag division now? So I really like that. Yep. I think it's a good way to do both of those, and a good way for her to be like, if she loses, to be like, you know what, I'm gonna focus on the tag division and they just dominate that. So.
Yeah, and it sets up, I think, a sure money match up in Masha versus Jordynne. And you guys, if you're only Impact fans, I implore you, or maybe just wait to Bound for Glory and be surprised. But Masha, she ain't the Masha you see each week. She's gonna show you even more than she already has, man. And it's gonna be a balls to wall match. Next up is why I now am a proud Gujar supporter, Max. He's walking. Because we didn't mention it. Myers came out on commentary, obviously, which was perfect. Sets the tone. He comes out. He tags Gujar. He's Scott Armstrong won't pin him. By the way, love to see Scott Armstrong here. He won't do the fake pin because it matters none. Turns around. Gujar hits his shtick. Love Brian Myers, by the way, man. Everything he does is professional. And Gujar gets the pin via Scott Armstrong. Means nothing, but Gujar takes the belt. And that moment, Max, I thought we were going to get a roll of Eric Young. So, to me, when I see him coming through he's coming through the curtain proud with that belt, and Scott's like, hey, man, that wasn't really a pin.
Yeah.
I was hoping he'd be like, it's like, no, it's real, and just walk away. I get why you don't want to play the dumb aspect. I get that.
Yeah.
But would have been money. But even this was great. He has to come find me for it, sure. But either way, I thought it gave him a little personality, and that's all I want.
He's developing, and that's good.
There you go. Development. That's all that matters. So I love this segment, actually. 13 segment here we got is Josh Alexander defeating Vincent of Honor No More. No shenanigans. Good match. Josh getting featured. We'll talk more about it when we get into the booking of the depth, especially Josh's reign right here. But picking up another win, getting featured on the show, we still know he's the man. Eddie puts him over as such as he comes out. I thought this was a good moment for Eddie until about minute and a half, and then and then I was happy to see Heath. So I know some people weren't, this isn't how you build it, but I think this is another way to go. Eddie came out with the idea of, hey man, let's set this pace slow. We have 5 weeks to go to build this motherfucker. Let's take our time. Let's marinate and whatever, but obviously had a deeper meaning to it. Kept Heath alive with the DDP, Hitman Heath thing. Shout out to Io for that. Hey, perfect timing. But your thoughts on overall the way it's starting to percolate for Eddie and Josh?
I like it. I agree that they need to do this slowly because you have another pay-per-view premium live
special event.
Yeah. Before Bound for Glory. So and I agree, you can't just have him Eddie jumping Josh over and over and over. Like, it's going to get old. It's just going to be boring. So I think doing other things, so I liked his conversation about, like, what type of person are you in terms of in terms of wrestling. I like that. I thought it was overall. I thought it was a slow start. I'm interested to see if they set up an official Edwards versus Heath match for the number one contender on the line type thing to kind of break this up, to kind of say, hey, break it up here. We're going to do Edwards versus Heath. And then once we're done, it'll go back to Edwards versus Josh.
Yeah, and that's what Io, shout out to Io there, saying that is basically, and that's Heath's storyline is I attack Honor no more, so it makes sense for Eddie to have to get rid of Heath before he can face Josh. Now, I don't know what that says for Josh's reign as far as is kind of the writing on the wall, so it makes it seem like Eddie has the momentum. But we'll see. There's 5 weeks to talk about it, or 4, I guess, now. But we'll see. So Heath strikes, we got there. Next up, man, Raj and Shera get about a 15-second promo. Talking about he'll be back after his injury. I love this duo, man. I used to be a on-the-fence Shera guy, not seeing maybe the prospect or the upside of Shera, but the last few moments in OVW run has been nice.
He's a lot better than he used to be. The dancing Shera was crap. But this Shera, I think, is really good. This is what he should have been from the beginning. So I like this. And
I think it's hard. And same with Gujar. I'm sure we'll say the same thing in maybe a year with Gujar or 2, not even, It's just that maybe management wasn't helping Shera develop as quickly as he could have had he had the right to, people in place. No disrespect there, but so they get the camera pulled away from them because downstairs, love using angles, man. This company does a great job with lighting and using angles. But go right into Moose and Macklin mad. They're arguing. Oh, you screwed me. Whatever. And then Sammy attacks. We go outside for one of the first more cinematic shots in a long time. And we get them talking about a nicely placed piece of barbed wire on that fence, setting up what will be in just a moment. So, continuity. Love to get Raj and Shera still in there, saying they're relevant. And once again, this tag division, OVW train, that's Critical Sting. Yeah, perfect. Shera and the Revolution group didn't help. Yeah, that didn't help. What was his name? Koya? Someone look. I forgot his name. What it was in the Revolution. Anyways,
Prince. Yeah, so leader of that group, right?
Who?
Prince in the Revolution? Is that
Prince in the Revolution. Yeah, good call. Masha Package was up next. I like that because she wasn't on the show. Keep her relevant. And then it sets up Jessica defeating Lish.
The Knockouts jobber, the Knockouts Brooklyn Brawler, Alicia.
Hey man,
I was a big Brooklyn Brawler.
Quinoa. I don't know. I forgot what it means. Some probably disrespectful is what I imagine. It's management at that time. Holy Lord. But here's what I'll say about Jessica. Max, I want to hate it. I want to hate it because I know what I want. I want Sue and Havoc, and I still think that could be the end game here, right? But she's got music. She's got a video. She's got a tire. Dude, I like this shtick.
Give it some time. Let's let it play out to where it it goes. But I think a Susie Jessica could teams into Havoc Su Young, like
where they could flip the switch. I like the two-face idea. The problem is Susie, I was thinking about it, she doesn't fit in with The Rock or whatever, so maybe there's another gimmick coming. Maybe this has nothing to do with each other whatsoever. But I was saying is I wanted to hate it, but I can't. I love it. I like the look of it. I like it. Just feels, I don't know why, but it feels more Jessica, and I don't know if that's I don't know her whatsoever.
I like it a lot. I think it's
cool, man.
I think it's good. I think it's something. It's
fresh,
something different. Yeah, it's fresh. It's different.
But I still think it leads to the inevitable. Next up, Time Machine stretching. We come back. They're running down the card for next week. Yep, she has a sick theme song too, as well. Is what they're saying. Sammy Barbed Wire Massacre is named for Victory Road here, getting ahead of the curve, just getting that match as being the headliner here. Probably puts them guys into, I imagine, the Bound for Glory Call Your Shot Battle Royal, because they're gonna take a beating here. What are your thoughts on them announcing this so soon? And this is only the 5th one in company history, if I saw that correctly. Excited? Is it your thing?
I like it. I think announcing stuff soon. I think you want to kind of let people know what's going to happen. You don't want. Remember, we had the 2-week gap, so I think kind of giving a couple things that are like, hey, this is what's going to happen with Bound for Glory. This is what you have to look forward to. It's a smart way to do things. Yeah. Is it really the 5th one?
That's it.
Okay, I mean it's.
Are you saying that's a lot?
No, I feel like it's been. I feel like there's been more than that, but.
Sabu Abyss. I'm gonna skip one because I know then there's LAX and OVE. And then there's Sammy and Sammy and...
Let's get to the Googles. Hold on.
Let's Google it. But yeah, I agree with you there. Keep us on. I know Sammy and Eddie. That's right.
Sabu Abyss, Judas,
Messiah's brother. Yeah,
Latin American Exchange, OVE, Eddie Edwards, Sammy Callahan, and Moose, Steve, and Sammy. I feel like Abyss would have been in more of them, but I guess his thing is more Monsters Ball than the Barbed Wire Massacre. But no, I think it's a good thing. I think it's something that it lets you know what's going on. It lets you set it up. It lets you say, hey, this is what we're doing. Let's give it, let's announce it and go from there. And then I think that this is a natural kind of conclusion to these three's match or these three's feud. I think you'll obviously get I don't know. Maybe this will lead into like Moose versus Steve Macklin at Bound for Glory, or
maybe it leads to full like a Monsters Ball again. You know what I mean? Like something deeper, even more. I don't know. But and that's why when we're going to talk about depth, it's just you see these three guys, and how can't you say we don't have main event depth?
Yeah, I think all three of these guys are main event guys. I think Sammy being back and Macklin's Sammy being back and Macklin's evolution are the things that really are allowing you to say, hey, all three of these guys are clearly main eventers.
Yeah.
Like Moose, you knew. Sammy, you knew, but anytime somebody comes back, you're like, where are they? How long is it going to take them to get into form? And now you can say for 100% he's back, he's ready to go. But Macklin's evolution into a main eventer, and I'm surprised. I would have thought we would have seen him win some type of title before this, but the fact that he hasn't,
because we don't have one, Max.
Well, I mean, he could have been an X Division champion. He could have been should have
been DMC.
You could have decided to make him DMC champion, but if he doesn't hold anything, I think when he finally gets that world title, it's going to be that much sweeter. Like, this is his first title. He's here. He's a rock. But we'll see.
Yeah. And the main event here, just to wrap this up, with all due respect to this match, we're just going to keep us in time, but the main event was another solid main event, man.
Yeah.
Those three together, Time Machine, that's something viable there. VBD looked good. They both look like great brands. So I'm interested to see where this plays out heading into Bound for Glory. I have some ideas with this AEW relationship where we're actually going to go, and I don't think it's a relationship. So we'll get to that. But I want shout out to this main event here. Great match. No, not too much storyline to it, so we could kind of blow that off there. Show ends. Kushida's around for a bit, and that's awesome. I agree with you, Io. Critical segment MG trios matches are unfair. Yeah, man, they're on a different level. But Max, what did you give this show? What was the stuffed show?
I think you have to give it an A. There was, once again, first match was amazing. Last match was amazing.
Yeah. All
the stuff in the middle was great. They did some real development for both Victory Road and Bound for Glory.
Yeah.
So I think I give it an A. We'll talk about the AEW stuff. I have some. You say it's not a partnership. I think it is, and I'll explain why. I think in a topic, but I think I got to give it an A. I'm sure Tony came on and gave it a D. I'm sure.
Let's see if the bots, the little D's. I think they learned their lesson.
Okay.
Yeah, this week, not the highest number. I'll be honest there. But 52% going A. B, that's what I would go B plus for this show. I thought it was stacked. Once again, I feel like there's great segments, things happening, but as far as overall, like, it just feels like we're on neutral. We're waiting for something, and maybe that's this next set of tapings. We'll see. That's one thing we got to take into consideration. I never mentioned that because I'm too wrapped up in the it's not what I want, expect kind of thing. Is that we don't know if a scheduling conflict, an injury, someone who was supposed to come in, a talent didn't come in. There's all these things that can change the creative that makes it feel like maybe they flip it on the fly. But it definitely feels like they're holding back a little bit, and I don't know why. But 52% went with A. I went with the B. 44% did as well, and then 4% for C. Okay, maybe. Gary in there saying A. I actually have your thing, Gary. So respect that, guys. Keep up the Twitter votes. Because that's all that matters. Do the fans like it? But let's get into hot topics. We got a lot to talk about. I'm actually going to start with Gary's review of it. He said, I'm giving it an A. Some really good things on the show. I'm loving the stories involving the knockouts and love Killer Kelly's character. We agree. Vex is definitely taking Impact Wrestling by storm, and Jessica's new character is awesome because she's sick. It's catching on. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, I agree with all that, Gary. I'm just still looking for a spit shine, and I don't know what that is. We'll see. Next up, Best Side 92. Do you think BTI, this is what I mentioned earlier, should change the current format? I used to watch BTI. It's clearly a recap show, but lately there's been way too much swinger dice matches. Why not have it be more of a show about Impact talent facing indie talent? Maybe some of them, if they are good enough, can get signed to Impact. Max, your initial thoughts on that, and then I'll...
I like it being a recap show because I think if you miss it, for people who may just be tuning in, like, oh, this is interesting. I also like that it has one really solid match. I think that's the best way to do it, because if for no other reason, if you're not going to tune in for all the recap shit, you're going to tune in for that one match, and then that leads into the actual Impact show. So I like it. I think you could throw a secondary match with maybe some indie talent. My problem with when you have indie guys facing your people, 99% of the time, the indie guy's taking the pin.
Right.
So it really kind of, you're like, meh. Like,
well, and I think there's other shows out there that are like that. And my thing is, and I like the indie thing. I get that. We want to showcase some people. I think there's a couple reasons why BTI should stay the way it does. One, exactly what Max said. You're showcasing one match compared to having another hour of just good matches on top of 2 hours, 88 minutes of more in just a moment. So I like the one match thing. The review makes sense for people who may not watch Impact, catch up, or they watch it here and there. It also doesn't cost that much money to create.
Yeah.
Compared to making another show where you need a bunch of talent to fill the card of an hour and put it on, like, say, another hour show on a Saturday or whatever it may be. This right now makes sense. Long term, if we build up the roster again, we're really deep in that. We got some things going on. Do we need a second show? Maybe. But right now, I think it fills the point it's supposed to. And I really like, I catch myself paying more attention there, more excited about that sometimes. Josh and Gia, I really like the interaction there. Is it always groundbreaking shit like into Iceman Intel or anything? No, but
it's enjoyable.
It's good for what it is. And swinger and dice matches, I understand. I get that.
They're your local indie talent.
There you go. Yeah, from the territories. All right. Next up here, this is where we're talking about the AEW. Gotta wonder. This is from our buddy Chris Letta, and then we got Ricky Alvarez, who's part of the or Simon. Simone. I don't know his actual name, but he's part of the ranking committee as well. Gotta wonder what is going on. This is in response to my AEW mention. We know CD is behind it. I feel like Tony is needing a little help nowadays. Okay. Very bad choice by Impact. I thought I understood that after the first unsuccessful partnership with AEW, they should have nothing more to do with Tony Khan's company, which we saw has no respect for Impact. Max, I'm going to give you the choice. Do you want to go first or second on this? We are running high on time, so we got to keep it a little short. But...
I'll go first.
Okay.
So, one, I think this is a great idea. I think that I understand that there were some issues the first time. Some things should have happened. Sammy Guevara being a jerk killed one of them. But I do think that Kenny Omega carried the title with respect. He didn't disrespect the Impact title in any way, shape, or form. And when you look at the lineage, saying Kenny Omega was your champion, pretty good. I like that. So I do think they need to work together because I think this benefits Impact and AEW in a sense that, one, obviously there's some dream matches. Motor City Machine Guns versus FTR is one that FTR pushed for and we're excited about. But I also think for things like the seldomly used AEW people, primarily their women's division, some of the guys that can maybe fill into an X division, I think you can, if you can come to Tony Khan, fingers crossed, and hopefully get those people on, it can add depth to your roster without you having to sign somebody, so you can make sure that you continued or that you re-sign some of your main people. Now, the biggest thing I think this brings about is for Time Machine. Because there's one thing you need for a time machine to work, and that's a flux capacitor. We're getting Frankie Kazarian. It's going to be a 4-man group. There you go.
And VBD grows? Okay.
I
like all that. I'll tell you this. I don't think the AEW partnership at the beginning was as bad as people were saying. I thought Omega was great. I think there's some issues that came into play, especially with his injury, that really fucked it up, and I think Tony's got a lot of small dick energy. Let's be frank. At the same time, he is in the bigger position. Some people, it really shows who they are when they have that power. I told you guys from the get, the bridge was not good. Scott D'Amore, little weird overselling Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels backstage promo with Tony kind of showed me that. But here's what it is. Impact have been dropping the breadcrumbs. Follow the breadcrumbs. And I think this is all it is. Maybe it grew into something else. People are like, oh, they didn't even tag us in the thing. They need to tag us, the partnership. Guys, I think this is a one-off. Okay? And here's my reason. Why wouldn't Tony tag us, well, besides being a dick? If he thinks this is an actual partnership and he needs us, he doesn't need us. He doesn't think he needs us. That's him. That's who he is. We'll just call it Spaceman. But Impact had been saying that we are working hard on making an old matchup happen here in the future for Impact Wrestling that hasn't happened in years. To do so, Max is right. You need some Kazarians. You need some Daniels. You need some people. So if Impact needs a favor from AEW, what is Tony going to say knowing Tony? Yeah, I'm not going to tag you and shit, but we could do it. You give me Motor City, FDR wants him, you let him lose. Okay, we'll make this happen, I'll give it to you. But they got to be on my TV first before you announce anything that goes on yours. That's all this is. Impact needed something for Bound for Glory. I can't wait to see what it is. I'll talk about it in a second. I think it is Daniels, honestly, versus Bailey, or some kind of something in there. But they said a match that hasn't happened in years, so maybe it is something because they're Bad Influence versus Motor City. Maybe it's something along those lines. But I think that's all this is. I think it's a talent exchange for one time because we needed a favor, and we gave them Motor City first. They didn't do any promo work for us. Let's move on. But they did have the Impact logo, so it's possible. But I don't want anyone to get too caught up into this is going to be something bigger, because I really don't think it is. So let's put the brakes on the whatever before we all freak out. I do see Millard in there saying we don't need a recap show. BTI format needs a change. Once again, should it in the long term? Yes. We don't have the depth or the budget to make it another hour show of full balls to the wall wrestling.
What about CM Punk jobbing to Josh Alexander in 2 minutes and 37 seconds?
Yeah,
and Josh beats the time. You think that's a possibility?
No. All right. Next up's our buddy Mike G for Brace from Impact. He put out an interesting one about Jeff Jarrett. We talked about this a little bit, Max. Jeff Jarrett and Conrad kind of looking over Impact, maybe. We got Joshua Impact here saying, as long as they don't try GFW stuff, I want Anthem to remain in control of the company. But wouldn't it hurt bringing back Jeff as the second CEO with Scott? I'm going to get rid of it. Thanks to Mike G. Thanks to Joshua Impact 101. I'm going to get rid of it so we can see our lovely chat group. But your thoughts on the Jeff Jarrett situation? Look, man, I'm going to get mine out first because they're short and sweet. Yeah. I love Jeff. If his mind's right and the money's right, I think Conrad's the bigger get. But the lineage of Jeff, it can't be replaced. So when his mind's right and he's in the right place, especially working with Scott, bridges are all good. I think it could be a very valuable partnership and relationship, especially with the history that Jeff has. If it was just WWE or some, whatever, or if I was AEW, I wouldn't say the same about Jeff, but for Impact, it makes a lot of sense. The other thing is this. People who are like, oh, what did he do? Guys, look. When we were at the height of our hype for TNA, we were getting house shows that had 250 people to about 500, right? That was when he was in charge of the company. How's this dude got a job as live event coordinator for WWE? I just don't think it was a good fit. I think that's all it is. I don't think there's anything more. I just think it wasn't a good fit, especially with Triple H coming in and saying, hey, your house shows usually drew 250 back in the day? Anyways, that's my thoughts on it. I would love to have Jeff, Guitar Shot, coming out there, him just being a figure to push Scott on as a TV character, sure. And I think he's a smart dude, man. I never hated Jeff like a lot of people. I understand circumstances happen, but hey, man, we only live once, right? Bygones be bygones.
I don't want them to buy Impact. I don't want them to be the sole owner. I want Anthem to still own it because I think Anthem has done a great job. Turning Impact around from a company that probably should have gone the way of WCW and ECW to a company that is stable and puts on at least their pay-per-views and premium live events, puts on some of the best wrestling that's out there.
I agree.
But I wouldn't mind them being co-owners, because I do think they could help elevate Impact to the next level, possibly with some connections to hopefully a TV deal or a streaming deal or something like that could bring in more money for Impact.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Conrad's would be the big deal there.
Yeah.
As far as back, to be fair, we do 250 to 500 TV currently. Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to it. Why would WWE, who's $1 billion company, hire a guy to run their house shows that only has drawn a history of drawing 255? Anyways, yeah, so it's I'm not like super stoked about it. I'm not angry about it. If something happens, cool. If money comes into Impact, so we could speed up the process of everything, I'm even more cool with it. Here is not really a comment or question. A lot of people talking about Hebner mentioning that Impact is shopping for a TV deal. We'll get into that a little bit. I know Millard had some comments we'll go over. But I just want to give a shout out to Nora Sparks, Richard Robles. We got Michael in there. I'm guessing Michael Chaney maybe. I don't check this, admittedly, on the live chat, but I did see that it was blowing up the other day, and I want to shout out you guys, so thank you for that, and watching us live right here, YouTube, at 10 p.m. On Sundays. Next up, here's what we're talking about. I talked about the ratings last time, Max. I told you that. But he's talking about Dirt Sheets hate Impact so much. I wonder why I never hear or see anything about the ratings for MLW, NWA, and New Japan Strong, ROH, etc. before TK bought them, or any major indie company. Guess they only think the AEW and WWE exist. I know they show Impact, though. I responded both these, but now Okay. I know that both companies have a lot of fans, but having huge networks behind them doesn't hurt either. When Impact was on a big network, they did big numbers too, just saying. Yeah. Once again, if we could shop it and get a first air rights somewhere, cool. But I like Access TV being our growing Access TV and having a good foundational piece and owning our content. As far as the dirt sheets, though, I don't care what the dirt sheets say whatsoever. I think they don't report the ratings for all those other ones because none of those ratings ever mattered. Impact was one that does release them now, for one, and two, has a bigger following than all of them. All of those combined, honestly. And maybe there's more of a... they wouldn't put them out if they weren't getting clicks on those links for you to read their article about the so I think it's out of necessity, if they want to admit it or not, the Impact actually brings people to their sheets. Two, I don't care what the sheets say. And three, it just means that we're on the level of WWE and AEW then. It's a compliment if you want to take it that way. All right. But yes, I agree that if we could get money off a first TV deal, or first air rights, I agree. I hate hearing about rating system. Me too. But I know there are so many people who live and die by them. Impact needs to do a much better job at promoting themselves. I said this in the response. I just, promoting themselves is, look, I just saw someone today, I think was talking to Io, that lives in Dallas, and because of the algorithm on Twitter, even though they've been promoting it for 4 weeks, never saw an ad for Impact. Could they put more money into it into the cities? Sure, but they don't have the money. I did a whole episode on it. They don't have the money to where they're going to see it back. It just isn't there. They're more concerned about the product than the amount of people watching it. I really hope they change their minds about this, either with another network or streaming service deal. No matter what, I love Impact. Just wish they were in a better place. They've been around 20 years. Honestly, Millard, you're killing me. Honestly, they should be in a much better place than they are now. Max, you know how I feel about they've been around 20 years. Honestly, they should be in a much better place.
Honestly, they shouldn't. They should be the same place ECW is, which is owned by WWE. Because there were some points when it was on Destination America where Impact was almost unwatchable. And if Anthem didn't step in and buy them, they would be out of business. So you can't look at where Impact was when it was on Spike TV and assume that it's maintained this trajectory, whatever, in a slowly upward direction. They haven't. They bottomed out to the very, very bottom and had to rebuild from almost nothing and really gain back a lot of favor that they lost with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I think they're at a great spot. If you think, they've been around for 20 years, yes, where they are now, probably like, eh. But if you think about where they were and where they are, it has continued to grow.
How long have the Mets been around? I mean, there's variables. There's different variables.
So, I mean, I think that I agree that the ratings systems are rough because
that too.
Impact has YouTube. They probably, I would almost guarantee they probably make more money off of YouTube than they do off of Access TV. Their viewership is probably more from YouTube because not a lot of people get Access TV.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I have Hulu. I don't get it. My parents don't get Access TV either because on their cable, I never got it when I had cable.
And not to cut you up, but there's actually a good point to that. Speaking of your parents and as far as who gets it and does it.
Yeah.
Doll99 here saying, when it comes to ratings, a lot of wrestling fans, especially older fans, they just want to turn on TV and watch wrestling. So that plays to Max's part. They don't want to look on... I get that, and I respect that, and I believe that. My thing is, and I'll let you go, buddy, but it's the safety net, as he mentions here as well, of being on Access TV, the ability to grow Access TV, and the point of putting on a good show. Should they put on a shitty show and promote more, or should they do a great show and pitch that show to other companies and networks and streaming services to sell the first air rights? So the promotion is, once again, just a matter of fiscal. They don't have it. But at the same time, would it be nice to be more accessible, as Max saying? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole people don't want to turn on YouTube thing, older people. I mean, when you talk about older people now, you're talking about people who were probably in their teens, late teens, when Attitude Era was going strong. Like, I was in middle school, early high school. At the time, I'm 38. So you're probably talking about people who were late high school, maybe in college. all those people use the internet.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
you aren't talking about people in their 60s and 70s. And you look at WWE, they have all their stuff on Peacock. It's a streaming service. AEW is hopefully looking to put out either get their stuff on a streaming service or get themselves an app to have all their stuff. People are used to that now. It's not the foreign concept that it used to be when Netflix first came out. So I don't think it's that big a deal.
And that's the thing is the Nielsen ratings, we always say it's 44,000. I looked up the numbers to make sure I was right. 44,000 boxes in the United States represent 395 million people that are in the United States. So are they always accurate? No. Are they a good meter for people who need to argue over rate? Yes. But the key demo and all that shit is whatever. And Millard saying that Impact is least better than the Knicks and the Jets. First of all, I don't like the Jets. Second of all, incorrect. Knicks are the most wealthy franchise in the NBA. Anyways, yeah, I agree with that, man. The fan thing, yes, it would be nice to just turn them on. Oh my God, really? So let's not turn this into a Knicks thing, guys. Here, first of all, your key points here I see are from the Stephen A. Smith Book of Stupidity. So I'm gonna go with that. So, anyways, yeah, no, man. I would love for them to have a first rights airing somewhere else. I love the stability of Access TV. The ratings on Nielsen ratings are a fifth of the variable of what garners success in a television show now. And once again, they're making the money they need to. They're not spending over it. We're well aware of that. They should be in a better place. But once again, we did a show on that, and the money is where it is. So. Let's keep going here, because next up is something we all can get behind. Let's all be friends here and talk about Bound for Glory. Back to Impact Wrestling. So $1.99, I challenge you guys to come up with your Bound for Glory lineup just with the roster we have. And I want to give a shout out to $1.99 for putting them up here. Grace versus Masha, main event, BFG for Knockouts title. I agree. Motor City Machine Guns versus Honor No More tag team titles, depending if the Good Brothers still in Impact. That's fair. I was thinking something there, but the time machine aspect makes me think maybe something else. But Honor No More does roll deep, so could make sense. X Division title gauntlet match, where the only way to advance is to pin the opponent and every X Division talent in the match. Okay. Vexed versus Rosemary and Todd. So Ragnarok in a ladder match for Knockouts tag titles. Moose versus Macklin versus Sammy versus Swan. Winner faces Impact champion. So building up the world title picture there. Kelly versus Mia. And Josh versus Eddie, as we already know, but this one in a Full Metal Mayhem. So respect to that. Respect to $1.99 for his opinion there. Let's see. What's Parkside saying? Millard said, I love Impact Dead, but if anyone else I cared about for 20 years were doing the same thing, I'd been left them.
I mean, okay. I'm not gonna lie. WWE has been on for how long, and they have put out some hot ass for a long time. And if, like,
I don't know, man. I see. My thing is this. I tend to go with the people that, I'm a Yankees fan, but Knicks, Dolphins, Saints. My thing's all over the place. So the underdog is always my thing. Yeah. So I don't know.
I think you look at the fact that Impact is still here. WCW was around for 60 years.
Yeah.
All the way back. It's gone. ECW, gone. ROH, gone.
Yeah.
Like, these companies that have been around for two of those started before Impact, ROH, a similar time frame. They're all gone. Impact's not. I would love for WCW to be in a better spot than it is now, but it's currently out of business.
Right.
Like,
I'm just saying.
I'd love for Sears to be in a better spot than it is now, but it's gone. So, like, so those are the things. Like, it's still there. It's still surviving. This is a world where it's incredibly hard to keep a company going. Like, and especially wrestling. Wrestling isn't what it was. Yeah. It's rebounding now, but it's...
I also think that it's just like one of those teams that all the teams I mentioned, the franchises, they're viable brands, known brands. Yes, are they always positive? No. There's obviously a lot of people who will be naysayers about it. but at points they're good, and points they have better ownership, and points they have better players, and points they have better this and that. So it just, you stick, it's loyalty to whatever.
Yeah.
But so as far as the BFG card goes, let's talk about, let's get away for ratings. Let's get into something a little different here, guys. It's been a while since we've been in it. So we're gonna make a way over here, to the Impact Zone. And our point of this is the BFG card, I think, is gonna be a little. It sucks we can't get the what do you call it? Maybe we'll go back and forth there. Yeah, we'll go back and forth here and keep entering them in here. Plus, we can't spend too much time. But my point that I've been saying since last week is I think it's not a matter of depth. I think the depth is just, once again, it's a matter of how we're using that depth, how we're booking that depth, how we're utilizing, these options to Josh's belt or the X Division belt or whatever, and not, frankly, not using it, I think, to our advantage right now. And for whatever reason it is, I don't know. But with that barbed wire match, you can see we have 3 viable dudes for what I think is the main event picture. So let's start. You got the depth.
I do. I have it pulled up. I'm looking at it now.
You have pulled up. I'm going to go back to the podcast. I'll go back and forth so we could see what everyone's saying here. But let's start with the X Division, because this one is where I think it's weird for me. When he said the X Division Gauntlet, I think that makes sense because there's not one feud, and we're going to try to stay out of everyone else's depth chart, as in AEW's or bringing someone over for this. Let's stick to whatever. Who's the viable options for this X Division title if you're putting something together for Bound for Glory? Now, once again, 4 weeks. But
so we'll start there. If we're looking at someone, obviously Ace Austin is there.
Yeah.
Chris Bay is there.
You still think that? Now, once again, let's try to use people for one division. Are you going to put them in the tag title picture when Good Brothers leave?
So are we talking about for Bound for Glory on what we can use for?
Yeah, let's keep it. Yeah, let's keep it simple. Is building the depth with what we have here. So
I agree with his Motor City Machine Guns / Time Machine. 2 of the 3 of them versus whoever the tag team champions are. I think that's going to be a match at Bound for Glory.
Okay.
So if you're looking for an X Division to get other people in,
you want to say keep the Bullet Club away from that
for Bound for Glory, yes.
Okay, so let's base this off of where I think we could go, or the options for Bound for Glory. So we're in the X Division. We're going Ace, Austin. Let me just put Ace. Okay.
Chris Bay.
We're going Bay.
If we're looking to fill a gauntlet, Crazy Steve.
Well, I don't think there'll be a gauntlet. I don't know what we'll get. Maybe Ultimate X or something. We still want to just get as many as we can so we can say whatever. I think Black Taurus would be the option of the.
I was going to put both of them, but yes, I would say Black Taurus.
And yeah, so let me do that for. Let's Taurus on there.
Kenny King.
Yeah.
Laredo Kid. Obviously Bailey's there, but he's the champion.
He's the champion.
Yeah, could always have PCO in that Ultimate X Division. That'd be good.
I mean, that's 5.
Yeah.
Oh, did we put Trey? We didn't say Trey.
I would say Trey. I'm just scrolling down the name-wise. So Trey would be the last.
Okay. So there we go. All right, guys. What do you think there? We got, obviously, Ace, Bay, Trey, the 3 that are always there. Laredo Kid, Black Taurus. Obviously, Black Taurus picking up a win recently. It's just, I think, once again, this is a matter of building Mike Bailey an opponent. And obviously, had the kind of if we give the throwback with Trey, because that had a banger there. Bandito, yep, that's a good option as well, guys. If he's sticking around. I just feel like this is going to be an asterisk because maybe we have an ultimate. They'll throw an Ultimate X in here for maybe number 1 contendership. Maybe they'll go back to getting the Big X or something. But I think they should really put Bailey one-on-one here with someone from the past. I would love a Daniels Bailey. Bailey. And that just continues the trend that they're already doing. And I don't know if that's going to be the trade. But I just feel like following the breadcrumbs, it looks like Impact reached out first. So they obviously want something. Maybe it's Lethal. We're not talking about Lethal or Dutt or someone. Or Dutt doesn't wrestle, but does he?
Sanjay, yeah, he's the one who's going to be teaming with Motor City Machine Guns.
No, Lethal is.
Is it Wes Lethal? Or maybe Sanjay just called them out.
Yeah,
I don't think Sanjay hasn't wrestled.
Yeah, I don't think Sanjay's wrestling. I think he said that in an interview. So, but my point is maybe Lethal. I mean, there's options. Samoa Joe. There's people. Brian Cage. I saw someone mention that. There's a lot of people that have history here. But sticking with what's on the roster now and kind of looking at what Bound for Glory could be, Ace Bay, Taurus King, Kid Trey, someone in there can make a very viable 1, 2, 3 even. Let's move on to DMC because this is one that we know where we want it, but no spoilers, but it looks like Gujar's still in the mix.
Gujar, I don't think Myers isn't.
He's the champ.
Or not Myers. Heath. Brainstar. Cardona isn't healthy yet, is he?
No.
Okay. So
wait. Yeah, excuse me. I think he wrestled at NWA, so I think he's
okay. So Cardona is a possibility if you do a quick flip, just for like if you want Gujar to secure as champion, he beats Myers, he beats Cardona, and then he burns the belt in a trash can at the end of Bound for Glory.
It's just the lineage. Even if on paper in 10 years we look back and we see, Jordan, Cardona, Swan, and Myers, and Gujar. I want it to be relevant, but let's go with the idea that anyone can have this. I think that's what makes this hard. You want to put the people that are right below the cusp of world title picture, but what is that?
Maybe Killer Kelly chokes out
Bhupinder
Gujar and takes the title. That'd be awesome. But I mean, I feel like
we'll get the crew's opinion on that. But let's knock one out. One that we can actually be talking about it. So let's talk about the world real quick for the men's here.
Okay.
Obviously, you got Eddie as the number one contender.
Yeah.
You got Moose because they're right. He's a special event no matter what.
Moose, Sammy, and
Sammy for sure. Swan is looking like who I would love to be in that DMC to keep that belt on someone who fresh and keep in some matches. Him, Macklin, that kind of group.
Yeah.
But I feel like Swan and Macklin, they see them as world title picture people. I see some other options out there. Is there anyone that?
I think you have to put Macklin in there. I think the fact that he's in a program with Sammy and Moose lets you know what they see in him. Like, this wasn't a one-off thing where they had to throw him in to eat a pin and then kick rocks.
I just love the good old days, man. You work your way up through through a division. Let's see what the group is saying here. I wish we could see Kingo versus Speedball. That'd be dope. Collier's shot gauntlet at BFG. Yes, they do. And that's why I think a lot of people, Cardona's cleared. I think Cardona is someone who can really come back and be in that main event picture.
That'd be interesting.
Let's remember he had that thing at the last Flair match stuff with the major players and Josh, so that's a possibility. I also think, once again, looking outside of it, who knows where Magnus lands, but Nick Aldis would be a good option. We need some dudes who look like champions.
Yeah.
Or can instantly have that viability. So let's get back into it. Let's try to keep this under 120 here. Let's go to something I'm excited to talk about. Let's talk about the Knockouts tag here, because we have Vexed as the champions, and where is your first? This is a tag team. Like who is your?
I mean,
once again, I think it's booking. I don't think it's.
I really like Natasha Savannah. I think they're probably your number one. Team Ragnarok is obviously there. Lady Frost is still listed on that page. Yeah. They refuse to release her, which leads me to believe.
What is she gonna do?
Maybe she's
I want to start a rogues gallery.
What's God doing right now?
Oh my God!
Can he? You think he can go with?
You want him in the Knockouts tag? We're trying to get rid of ODB and Eric Young. So
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I want to get rid of that.
Hey.
So we got two. We think Sue and Havoc will be that third or that fourth party. We don't know.
I think that's your best option.
Yeah. So maybe the depth is here. My thing is
Giselle's still on there. Lady Frost, like I feel like
of course Giselle's still on there.
But no, I'm saying like she's here. I feel like her and Lady Frost.
I want nothing to do with
such a missed opportunity there with a tag team, but
at that time, the build would have made sense, and I agree with you. I think the people that want us to have 4 or 5 tag teams lined up past the people who are the number one contenders just isn't viable. When you have an 88-minute show, it just makes no sense. So I think having 2 viable ones would be nice to start. You have Vexed and Ragnarok. We'll keep that going. You got Steels and Evans. If they get into that division, I think could be a really great package together. Elevates Evans, and keeps Steels, in the thick of things. And then of course, I think Sue, and I think turning off that switch because you already have the Decay, the more haunted look. You could have Sue and Havoc change back and forth. Would be really sick.
This is when I talk about the AEW Impact partnership. This is where Impact could benefit the most, is getting some of those women that AEW doesn't give 2 squirts about, and being like, hey, can we stick 2 of them together and give us a tag team for a program? Like that to me is the type of things where Impact, and I think Tony would be okay with it, because obviously you and I have discussed this. I don't believe Tony Khan gives 2 craps about women's wrestling. I feel like he puts it on the show because he feels like he has to. But I feel like if Impact could somehow be like, hey, can we borrow these 2 randos who aren't doing anything, that's kind of where you could help fill out a tag division with a partnership there. So
yeah, that's fair. Let's a couple catch-ups here. Let's end the Call Your Shot match. I don't think so, man. I really dig that being a thing we look forward to every bound. We've gutted our nostalgia for so long and try to run away from it. Then we're slowly bring it back with the names. Let's start making some things here. Next up, Aldis is boring. Man, look, the thing I'll say about Aldis is I used to hate a lot. And then I watched some more recent stuff. I don't think it's... Here, my thing is this, is I think he's a tempo changer. Once again, there's some people who are quarterbacks that manage the clock. And right now, when we don't have a lot of main eventers in people's eyes, to bring someone who was a world title somewhere else, that could be at least as someone who challenges, that brings a different tempo to the company, isn't a bad place to...
I feel like he has evolved.
That too.
From where he was when he was Magnus the champion, and you were like, oh my God, get this dude off my TV, to where he is now. And I feel like that's what a lot of people, they think of what he was, and they're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. I never gave him the time of day with the NWA stuff, and then I started to see some stuff and went back, and without the judgment, I don't mind it. I see him as and then of course he did the good stuff with Slammiversary. And all right, let's get to the Knockouts world. This is where I'm excited more so than the Knockouts tag. Now everyone's like, oh, they took Vexed. We don't have many teams. I think you can, if they keep this pattern going of taking the singles former Knockouts world champions and putting them in good pairings, viable pairings for the tag division while they build that up, and now letting some new people shine in under Jordan. Jordan's obviously the world title champion here. Next up, Mia was the most recent challenger.
Yeah.
You have Giselle, who we mentioned, who I think... I know I saw someone say Mia and her together. That's cool. But right now, I think she picks up some wins still and is a person on the right... Masha, obviously, yeah.
Killer Kelly.
Correct. And obviously, we took Tasha away from... this picture here. Is there someone we're missing here? Mia, Giselle,
I mean, you've got
Masha.
Maria, but she doesn't really wrestle.
Right. Lish, but, love Lish. But
I mean, and I know we're off the Knockouts tag team, but Maria teaming up with Killer Kelly as, like, Killer Kelly does... Well, I mean, she's the wussy one. She just kind of stands back and lets Killer Kelly run through people. Obviously not full tag team champions, but... a run. I think that would be funny to see.
I think we need some
brands. I think that's a solid... Those 4 people, considering the fact that you have Deanna, you have Chelsea, who can rotate in for a quick match here and there. Yeah. You have Sasha.
Tasha.
Or not, you have not Sasha. You have Tasha. You have Savannah. Like, you can pull people from their tag teams when they're not doing anything to be like, hey, Taya, go out there and wrestle real quick.
Yeah, and it gives these people a chance to build up the rankings while still just fixing, and not fixing, but keeping that Knockouts tag titles relevant, essentially. So here, the fifth person here who I'm going to say, because they keep saying undeniable and they keep making some winks to it, I think that fifth person in that would fit there is Tessa. I said this.
Ugh.
Hey, man, I'm telling you. Mickey, yeah, there's possible Mickey too, but I think something's not in the works. I don't know. I'm always wrong when it comes to predicting this stuff, but following the breadcrumbs, she's always been good when it came to Impact, besides the whole title belt thing.
I mean, she's burned every other bridge possible. So at
and
some
I just
point,
think that her and Gail have some kind of relationship that, I just think that's a possibility. Lucha's on board for that, of course. I wasn't, but I just feel like if I don't know, man. She's the talent is undeniable.
what's Santina Morella up to?
Oh my god! All right, let's get back and keep this going here. So still, I think that both the knockouts, the whole roster is in a good place, but another knockout or two couldn't hurt the cause. I mean, once again, you have Lady Frost and these people.
Yeah.
Su Yung need to come back. These people that aren't really defined right now in our depth charts.
Those tag teams.
Let's get the tag teams. That's our last one here. We got the Good Brothers on top right now. We obviously have the OGK. We got the Original Kingdom.
We've got Violent by Design.
We got VBD.
We've got the
Time
Zicky
Machine.
Sensation. I don't know what if they have a name, really.
We'll call them Swings. Swingmen? I don't know. So we got OGK, VBD, we got Raj and Shira, if they make that viable.
Yeah.
When they come back.
Decay?
You got Decay if they put them in that group, or that way. You have the possibility of the Rascals coming back. We won't put that down because they're not on the roster page.
That's the one that I want.
Yeah. Bullet Club as well.
Bullet Club.
But we already used them.
Yeah,
for
but
down
I mean,
there.
it's...
But once again, for an 88-minute show in the roster they have, this depth chart isn't bad. This is without using people like PCO. Who are we missing here? There's a lot of names right there.
We mentioned Cardona.
Yeah, we mentioned Cardona.
We haven't put him anywhere.
Right.
Shira's somewhere.
Tag maybe.
Did we put Swan up there? But
it's cutting it. We're cutting it crisp, But
here's the thing: when you're looking at tag teams and you're like, "Hey guys, we have 6 tag teams." Well, not all 6 of those guys are going to be involved in tag team programs, so you can pull people and move them around. Like Ace Austin could legitimately be a main event contender or champion, whatever. You just swing up. So they have the ability, if they wanted to move things around, and it not outside of maybe your Knockouts tag division. Yeah. It doesn't hamstring any division. Mm-hmm. Like you have guys that fit in multiple spots, and if you decide to say, hey, we're going to put them here, the other division just runs smoothly, and that's the best spot to be in.
Yeah, and for, once again, if we have 2 shows a week, different tune. Yes. But right now, for the 88 minutes, this is a good roster. But they do need some pieces in there that could spark it. But I think they have a lot of talent there that, if they just used differently, could spark it without bringing in a free agent. And it's just a matter of usage.
None of this even begins to touch on their possibility, on the possible partnership with New Japan, who they can bring in there for different programs. Obviously, AEW, let's assume it's a one-off. So NWA, they have a partnership.
MLW.
So there's other companies that they can reach out to and say, hey, we're looking for somebody for a partnership, or we're looking for somebody for a program for our tag team division. Do you guys have a tag team that you can send over to us? Yeah, we can send these. So, and that to me is what's going to make what Impact can do to really separate itself from everybody else. Is we'll literally, not only will we work with everybody, but we have no issue putting our titles on somebody else's wrestlers, as long as you treat those guys with respect in your company.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I think you hit it on the head, and I think it goes back to, I see a lot of Tessa, what the F, in here. It goes hand in hand with that. And obviously we're not behind the curtain. We don't know these people. Thank you once again to Gail Kim and Rich Swann for the intros. But we don't know the real life personalities of these people. But if you look at it from step back, from the people Scott and Gail seem to work with, to an Anthem as well, it feels like burn bridges aren't really a thing Impact's about. They keep them together. They don't step on anyone's toes for the most part. They know where we are at, where we're at. And they're mature enough to let bygones be bygones. Look, Nick Aldis was still talking shit about us not too long ago. Okay? And Billy Corgan, same thing. Jeff Jarrett. There is a list of people. Tessa. And that's why I think she fits into there. You say Deanna and Chelsea were the ones that brought up Tessa's issues. Yes, and I'm not, once again, advocating for Tessa. I think her talent's undeniable. I think there's breadcrumbs there. I think we're her last hope, and Gail has some kind of relationship with her that, once again, mends all of this. Is it a ticking time bomb? I don't know. I'm not back there. I don't know these people. But just like Deanna and Chelsea might mature, and we welcome back Chelsea with open arms. Same with Aldis, maybe, and we did for whatever. I'm sure we'll do the same with Brian Cage, and then we'll do it the same with LAX if we're whatever about it. And I'm sure we would.
One half.
I know, you know what I mean. If it happens, I'm just saying, and whatever. I'm just saying that Impact seems to have a knack for having very little ego and very big dick, and I mean that they don't care what anything else goes around them, or what's going on, or who shits on them, or what's going. They care about their product, and they care about their relationships that they're building and that they obtain, and their roster. And I think that helps us right now.
Here's what I would say: their partnership, it allows them. What would you rather have? And I'll give you two options.
Yeah.
A 75-person Impact roster.
Yeah.
Or a 40-person Impact roster, but they reach out to other companies and work with and bring in people from time to time to help build storylines and events. I would much rather them have a 40-person roster that they are like, hey, we kept Deanna because we said, you know what? We'll work with AEW and we'll grab a couple of their underused people that we don't have to pay, and we'll pay Deanna more than say, well, we lost Deanna, but we signed Susie Kim, Kelly Joe, and whatever, because we could for the same. Well, cool. We added 3 women that nobody gives 2 shits about, as opposed to, hey, we kept our main key pieces, and now we're working with New Japan and MLW and NWA and maybe AEW, and occasionally people from those companies hold our titles. But guess what? Josh Alexander's still here because we were able to afford to pay for him, as opposed to having to let him walk out the door because we have a 75-man roster and we don't have the money for him.
Yeah, I agree completely. I see a bunch of people still saying that. Yeah, basically the same thing. We don't burn bridges, whatever. Millard saying, don't underestimate Susie Kim, brother. And then Niall saying, we don't need folks bringing up Tess every week. I get that, but at least someone's bringing up Impact every week. Controversy creates cash. I think we're so far past a lot of her things, and trust me, there's stuff that I didn't want to forgive her for, but it just, look, eventually, we obviously don't know what's going on, but also, I sure Impact wouldn't get into something if they didn't know what they're expecting. They're very good about being meticulous about their business making decisions, and sometimes to a fault, obviously, because we want it to speed up, but, they're going to put the product first and put their best foot forward. I don't know if it's worth it. I'm not advocating, but I think the talent there is undeniable. And if we can all mature as we all grow, we all accept and mend those fences. Look, there was a time where I never thought New Japan would ever, ever, ever send a person over to Impact Wrestling ever again. Times change. Different people are in places. People grow. People form new relationships. But that's what we'll end it off on. Relationships. Impact's about inviting people in. We hope you guys are too. look, the only way that we can grow this fan base, it isn't arguing about ratings. It's not arguing amongst each other. Debates are healthy and fine, and I love them. But my point is this, is Bound for Glory is October 7th. If you're going to it, if you could go to Victory Road in Nashville, go anywhere in between, reach out to people, make the most of it, invite as many people as you can, promote Impact while you're there, make some stupid signs like me, and cheer on Impact, man. That's all we can do. If you enjoy the show, that's all that matters. Don't listen to anyone else. Include as many people as you can. And I guess that's to the point. Maybe Tessa excludes more people than it brings in, but that's for Impact to decide and do their own homework on, I guess. But see some Wentz things in there too. Yeah, I get it. But and Max, yes, when we think we'll see Wentz, do you think that's a foregone conclusion?
I think so.
We operate.
Yes. Victory Road, Bound for Glory, I think, are possibilities. Yeah. I think he's someone that they would hold for a big event to come out. Maybe a beatdown is happening and here he comes, or
same
mystery opponents.
Yeah.
So
well, either way, guys, Impact is on the road to Victory Road and Bound for Glory, obviously, as we just mentioned. We're on there, too. I said that, obviously, each week, join us. We have a new sign and a new intro, because that's what draws them, guys. But, of course, we have a bunch of other stuff. GoGoPowerRankings on Tuesdays, Talking Bloody Nonsense on Thursdays, us on Sundays, and Impact Wrestling this week has Mickie James with a big announcement. This is kind of, I think these are the Dallas tapings, so these are the kind of we're heading full steam ahead. Hey, what's up, Datila?
We got a tag team title match.
Good Brothers versus OGK, we're getting that. And then Deanna versus Masha for that number 1 contendership. So stay tuned to Impact. I think we got some really great shit coming up from them. We'll see what happens heading into Bound for Glory. But be calm, everyone. Let's enjoy the ride. Let's. Max, do you have any?
I'm gonna leave you with one more fantasy booking for Bound for Glory.
All right.
With Impact being willing to work with anyone.
Okay.
What about the Indian AJ Styles versus the phenomenal AJ Styles? Huh?
Gotta let this go.
Huh?
Gotta let this go. If they if Gujar came out and said
AJ Styles. What about adding the lineage there? What if Bhupinder's victory over AJ Styles at Bound for Glory is what propels him to stardom?
I know that we're getting too late and we're getting too wonky because even Millard's going with you. Book it, Max.
See?
No, do not enable this man.
I called the Good Brothers showing up before anybody else did. This is the next big one.
Yeah, okay. With that being said, guys, we thank you. We love you. Thanks for coming out. We'll see you next week. Heading into Bound for Glory. We'll see what happens. Some great stuff up ahead with Impact, including I just saw it go by, so I got to mention it. Action figures. Look out for those coming, as well as the new 4 micro brawlers. We got Chris Bay, Tasha Steeles, and I'm missing Bobby Roode. Canadian Bobby Roode, Team Canada Bobby Roode, and who else is the other one? Who am I missing? Let me know, guys. Let me know. But yeah, we got Micro Brawlers coming, we got the action figures, and we got all the shows coming up, man. Go see an Impact show. Go invite people. Hang out. Spread the word of Impact Wrestling, guys.
Go check out House of the Dragon on HBO. Hey, AEW promoted it. Why can't we? It airs immediately following our show on HBO.
What was Impact's the movie? Mick and Mandy or something like that.
I don't know. House of the Dragon is really good, though.
All right, guys. We'll go watch House of the Dragon, I guess. All right, buddy.
Later, guys.
Bye.